We're milking another horror franchise. This one, though, we have not heard from in a little while. It is a prequel to one of the most popular 70s horror films. Let's talk about The First Omen. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my spoiler-free review for the new film, The First Omen. This is still playing in theaters, but it will soon be available on demand. And I believe in June, you will be able to see this on Hulu. In fact, this was originally supposed to be a Hulu original film, but with all of the strikes kind of pushing back some product that would have come out in 2024, Disney and the powers that be there at Fox and Disney and Hulu all decided, hey, let's drop this in theaters while maybe there isn't a whole lot going on. The problem is right now there's actually a lot of horror movies out, so it has gotten lost a little bit in the shuffle, even with really good critical reviews. So we'll talk about all this here in just a moment, but first let me welcome you in to Dan Reviews It. Thank you for finding this video. We do movie and TV reviews here on the channel, and just about every day something new goes up, whether it is movie related or TV related, and you can check out the playlist on my homepage as well. That will sort of streamline your experience a little bit. But please consider subscribing, hit that like button, comment below. All that stuff, of course, helps the channel out. All right, so if you watch my channel regularly and you've seen maybe some of my reviewing of some newer horror films in classic franchises, you may know that I did not grow up watching horror movies. A lot of classic horror movies I either didn't see until I was much, much older, or I still have never seen. And I decided purposely to not watch the original Omen before seeing this movie, because look, it's a prequel anyway. Obviously, they're going to have some Easter eggs, which my friend that I went with did kind of point out a few things, but realistically this movie should be able to stand on its own anyway, right? Because it is a prequel. And so I have some of the knowledge of, okay, here's what this meant, and here's what this was supposed to indicate, and I guess they've sort of retconned a couple of things as well, with, the Damien that we know from that 70s film. But in any event, the basic premise here is that we are still in the 70s, and we are following an American woman played by Nell Tiger Free. And she is sent to work at a church in Rome where she is uncovering this sinister conspiracy. And we have Bill Nighy in this as well, Sonia Braga, Taufik Barhom. Now, the lead actress, Nell Tiger Free, I certainly didn't know her by name, but I was like, okay, I definitely know this gal from something. She's got a very unique look about her. She was in the M. Night Shyamalan series on Apple Plus called Servant. She was the nanny on that. So if you watched any of Servant, you will know this gal, I think, for sure. And this was directed by a first-timer named Arkasha Stevenson. He did a couple of things in the TV realm, but this is, all right, is it a guy or a girl? I'm not actually sure. It is a woman. So she's done a few TV things, including an episode of the TV show Briar Patch, which I like that show, but this is her first feature direction. And I have to say, I'm not sure that I'm as plussed on this movie as a lot of the other critics. It's pretty rare when a horror movie, especially one that is so, down the line in installments for a particular series. This is the, sixth Omen film overall? Yeah. So usually when we get this far into it, the critics are sometimes not kind. And we saw that, last year with the Exorcist movie, which personally I actually really liked. I know a lot of people did not feel the same way about Believer, but I liked it. But this one, it is a positive review, but it's got like a score in the 80s or something on Rotten Tomatoes, and I am a little shocked by that because I don't think it's that great. But it is definitely a positive review for me. I would say the good things about this movie do include the direction. So even for a first timer, the tension and the themes here are definitely coming at us, especially in the latter half of the film. The last probably half hour, I think, is where this movie really kind of makes its mark. And Nell Tiger Free is just great in this role. Really portraying the sort of confusion of this woman and, as she's uncovering things, her sort of attitude adjusts a little bit based on kind of what she's seeing. But she also has some hallucination issues from her past, and so she's trying to reconcile that. And so I like her character as well, not just the performance by Free, but I like the character on the whole. However, my biggest issues with this movie are that especially in the first like half, they sort of drop this as we go and we uncover more and more things about the actual secret society and all of this and what's really happening. We sort of drop the jump scares, but the first like hour of this movie has a lot of jump scares. And for a movie that is set in the 70s, it does have kind of a 70s feel to it. Jump scares were certainly not the norm back then. So it seems a little bit odd that, they were dipping into that well, probably a little too much for my liking. I'm not a huge jump scare fan anyway. I think it's a cheap ploy. I talk about this all the time in my horror reviews, but for a movie that is set in the 70s and has a 70s vibe to it, I'm just not sure why they chose to go that route with it. And then the other thing is, it's actually a little boring. I think this movie is probably easily 15 to 20 minutes too long, and it's sort of in that middle section that it gets bogged down a little bit with some of the minutia of some of the side characters and maybe uncovering the plot. On the whole, I think there were quicker ways to do that. I think there were more interesting ways to do that, and more clear-cut ways to do it as well. Because with her hallucinations, there are a couple things that you're not quite sure. Even by the end of the movie, I wasn't quite sure. Okay, was that part of her hallucination, or did that really happen? I think some of that is still left a little bit ambiguous. But with that being said, I think the positives do outweigh the negatives. I do think they could have, like I said, tightened that time up a little bit, made it more like an hour and 40 instead of 2 hours. But in any event, I like the characters portrayed here, and I really like Free's performance, and especially that last 40 minutes or so. I really, really thought it was a compelling film. But I will say that there is a similar movie that just came out, and I was trying to see it when it was in theaters, and I missed it, and that is Immaculate with Sydney Sweeney. I think that is tackling a lot of the same themes. So to release this just a few weeks afterwards does seem a little curious. But again, I didn't see that movie to necessarily compare, but plot-wise, it seems a bit similar, just from what I read about it. I'm sure I will watch it before year's end. I'm sure it'll be streaming at some point soon, but in any event, it seemed a little odd to release these movies so close together. But again, this was supposed to be a Hulu original that they just sort of thought, hey, let's make a little bit of extra money on, since we don't have as many films on the slate this year because of the strike. So it makes sense in that regard. But I leave The First Omen with a B, and you can still see this in theaters right now. And like I said, pretty soon I think it will be on demand, and in June it should hit Hulu. All right, thank you for watching Dan Reviews It. I'll see you next time. Bye.